Usual sort of night. We're out with mates, went out to do a bit of fishing, started having a couple of drinks, and turned into a few more and a few more after that.
He was due home for tea that night, and by 8:30 we hadn't had the phone call. We knew there was something wrong that he was out so late.
Next thing I know, I was with the cops and ambulance all around us. The ute was in pieces and they were all telling me I was lucky to be alive.
I arrived there, I saw the vehicle. He's obviously lost control, hit the tree. This was a crash that possibly nobody should have walked out alive. We
got a phone call from the Queensland Ambulance Service to say that they were attending an accident and Timothy was involved, and that he was seriously injured and they were about to transport him to the Mackay Base Hospital.
Didn't know what was happening around me. Couldn't figure out where I was or what had happened. Mum was a bit upset about it. She was quite upset and distraught.
It's just something that nobody else could understand, I think, unless you're a parent.
Feels bad though. Disappointed them and let them down with what I did. It's affected us greatly with all the consequences of it.
Tim came before this court with a very serious matter. He'd been involved in a single vehicle car crash on a highway with a very high alcohol reading of 0.185. He was a young man, he was only a month shy of his 18th birthday, and essentially his vehicle was cleaved in two as a result of the impact of the accident.
It only takes a split second for these things to occur, but the effect can last for years.
My advice to him was really the next time, as my advice is to all young people, engage your brain before you engage your engine.
It's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth the consequence either.
I thought Tim was an outstanding young man of real character. I had never, and I said this to him in court, seen a young man who was so prepared to accept the consequences of his actions, have an understanding about the impact of his absolutely poor decision making that night, and make amends.
I always think, here I am doing this job of, sorting out the crash, collecting all the evidence, organising the undertakers, and while I'm doing this, there's a family somewhere, sitting at home, having dinner, like any other day, probably wondering, I wonder why my son's late, and they have no idea that in half an hour I'm going to be knocking on their door and telling them that their son is dead. And it will devastate that family for years and years and years.
We have young people in this state waking up every day in a jail because of the foolish decision they have made to drink or drug drive or drive at speed or drive recklessly.
It has far-reaching consequences, and that ripple effect does. It takes a long, long time. Some families never get over it.
Like, it just doesn't affect the parents, it goes all the way through the whole entire family. That's part of this ripple effect, I believe. It just travels up the line. And even as a tow truck driver or anybody else that attends the accident, it must affect them in some serious way.
The ripple effect touches everyone. The resources that are required, both hospital resources, ambulance, our frontline police who have to attend those dreadful accidents every day.
I don't know what more we can say. It's only when tragedy happens to somebody close. We can keep driving the message, but it's only when it happens close to you that it becomes a real reality.
They have to start thinking about the consequences of their action, and they have to start thinking about that before they get in the car.
Before, I just thought nothing had ever happened. We're all 10 foot tall and bulletproof, but it's certainly woken me up to that fact.